my name is Vivian Cannan, and I'm the owner of the business Frisbee Social. My business focuses on crisis strategy solutions, social media strategies, and coaching business and individuals on change management. So that's one of the hats that I wear. But when COVID hit, I created a non-profit podcast platform called AHA Africa with the intention to help raise awareness within the communities across the country. The platform helped to raise awareness for those that were working on the front line of the pandemic and get donations to where they were needed most. In addition to this, I interviewed people from industries who were hit hard as a result of COVID to help them to inform people across South Africa as to how their industry had been affected and how we as locals could support these industries throughout the various stages of lockdown and beyond. It was during this time that I had the privilege to interview Greg Smith from 360 Online and Richard Dilleray from Dark Giraffe as a voice for the tourism industry who had at the start of COVID set up the Facebook group Tourism in My Blood. Together, they recognized and identified the need to create the group, and it was their intention to bring people within the tourism industry together and to create a safe place where they could engage, share, and discuss important industry-related topics. The podcast is actually available online if anybody's interested in their story. But what struck me most when interviewing at the time was their positivity, their resilience, and determination to keep everyone in the industry connected, working together, not only during COVID, but also beyond. They demonstrated resilience, hope, and found solutions to keep people in the industry connected when the country was in full lockdown. At the time, I think they had about 14,000 members, and I'm sure the group has just continued to grow today. But as a member of the group myself, I have benefited so much, and I believe that we will continue to benefit greatly by being part of this tourism family, not only during COVID, but for many years to come. To me, Greg and Richard are true superlifters and most deserving of this nomination. So thank you, Greg. Thank you, Richard, for shining bright when the world went dark overnight and reminding us that we are not only resilient beings, but it is our connection with each other that will see us through these dark days and back into the light. Bye for now.
Hi, Richard and Greg. Thank you guys for joining me today. You have been nominated by Viv Cannan, and we are very pleased to have a discussion with you guys today. My first question would be just for you guys to tell me more about who you are and how you started in the industry. I think we can start with Richard.
Okay, so my entry into the industry many years ago was as a guide in a private game reserve down in Mpumalanga. I guided there for a few years, and then I came out of the industry altogether for a couple of years, literally for about 4 or 5 years. And then a friend of mine who guided with me back in those days had started or had the management contract for a lodge in the Sabi Sand, and he needed someone to do some sales up in Johannesburg to the tour operators and travel agents. He was living down in White River, and that's essentially how I got back into the industry, back into sales in the industry. And long story short, eventually started my own representation business back in 1998. And been in the industry ever since. Haven't missed a day.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Richard. Greg, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. I've also been in the industry for as long as I can remember. Various sales and marketing positions. Pretty much been on my own. Social media, digital marketing has been sort of where my forte lies. And then obviously during COVID, we developed some very nice, unique product that we're busy taking to market, both locally and globally, which will hopefully put SA on the map even further. but yeah, I think travel's always been in my blood. Tourism's always been in my blood. So it's where I've been. But sales and marketing, digital marketing focus in various capacities. But been on my own probably for the last sort of 20 years. And during those 20 years, I was very privileged enough to meet Richard, and my life changed that day.
Great partnership going. My next question would be, why do you think Viv Cannan was compelled to nominate you guys? We all know you guys are the starters of hashtag tourism in my blood, but why do you think people join the community that you guys built? Richard,
well, look, in all honesty, it was Greg's brainchild. So I'll let Greg explain to you how it originated and how I became involved.
Yeah, I think in terms of the question, I think the reason why tourism in my blood works very well is the fact that it resonates with the right people. And when we started it out, I sent 60 people on my Facebook page an invite, and those 60 people, within 2 days it invited, we had over 5,000 people, because I think it was just so industry focused. And I think, we did a really big interview with Viv last year sometime, and I think, the whole idea with Tourism in the Blood was, it wasn't for us to grow our brand. It's never going to be a profitable center. It's for the tourism industry, and like-minded people, like-minded people stick together. And I think that's been the success of Tourism in my Blood.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Craig and Richard. I think if you guys could just maybe elaborate a little bit on what the content is that is sent or shared on Tourism in My Blood, and maybe share a bit of the people's comments, and if like maybe there was messages that people sent that really spoke to the motivation of creating the group. That would be very interesting.
Yeah, I think I'll start this one, and I'll let Richard talk, because he's very passionate about the content that goes on the page, and he's commonly known as the page policeman. But I think the whole idea was that there was a platform where we could share how we were feeling. And I think when we launched it in April last year, it was very much that. It was very much about what we were going through and how we could help each other. Yeah, it became a tours, how to claim tours, and what we were going through, but it's become a common thread. And I think one of the big things that we didn't want to happen was self-promotion, and it's always very difficult during this time to stop someone trying to make a living. But we were really trying our utmost to stop the self-promotion. And again, it's one of those things we do every day. But I think some of the just the sharing of ideas and just how people use it to help each other. And when we look at things like a tourism update, for example, and they refer to what people have said after Cyril spoke on Tourism in My Blood, then you've got a fairly good platform. Rich, I know you on the content side more than me, so you probably have more thought on that.
Yeah, Greg. I mean, obviously, Greg's spot on. It was about sharing ideas. I remember one of the slogans that came out when we first started is, we're all in this together. So it was really exactly about that: sharing ideas, sharing concerns, looking at the way forward. What's working, what's not working. Tours was a big thing, obviously, from a South African perspective. And then, the rollout of COVID and, what the certain governments were doing, what they weren't doing, feedback from various countries around the world. I mean, with 16,000 members, we've obviously got a lot of people from around the world on the site, on the page as well. So, which also helps, because it gives people perspective on what's happening, who's going to travel, who's not going to travel, what the COVID rules are, and who's allowing people in, flights, what's happening, all that kind of. So that was the whole idea behind it. like Greg touched on, the self-promotion thing, we understand that from a self-promotion point of view, one of our terms and conditions that there is no self-promotion. And we've had a bit of resistance to posts being taken off that are self-promoting. But the main thing about the self-promotion thing is it clutters the page, and it's not about individual properties. It's about sharing knowledge of what's happening in tourism around the world. And we obviously felt there was a need for the self-promoting posts and what have you. So in the sub pages, or whatever you want to call it, we created, like Mozambique in my blood, Kenya in my blood, Zambia in my blood, and that's where people can go and talk about their individual businesses and specials that they're offering, or whatever the story is. But the main idea behind, or the whole idea behind Tourism in My Blood was sharing ideas with, amongst people in the tourism industry worldwide.
Amazing initiative, guys. I am myself part of the group, and I love seeing the people contribute and the people sharing ideas. It's very inspirational, and it keeps that community tight. It keeps the community motivated to know that there's a platform where they can share their ideas and ideals. I think my next question leads in to also uplifting. Was there any other campaigns or initiatives that you guys were involved in from last year?
No, not really. I think we put a lot of emphasis on Tourism in My Blood, and really just trying to make it grow. And Richard and I, we've been in the industry a long time. It was never about us being in the limelight, and we didn't really ever want it to be in the limelight. So it was really to say, there's a platform, you guys use it, we'll try and monitor it and run with it. And I think today we're close on 16,000 members within that community. I think there are a lot of things that have happened off Tourism in My Blood that we're not even aware of. And I think there've been a lot of relationships formed, and business deals done. And it would be quite nice down the line, once we through this pandemic, is to start to say to people, what did you get out of it? Where did you see it? And I think you'll find that there'll be a lot of social lifting stories, or social uplifting stories, coming off Tourism in My Blood. But for us, it was our main focus. At one stage, it was a full-time job, just trying to keep people on and off, and just getting people accepted and trying to control the content. But yeah, I mean, I think as Richard said, we had people calling us from all over Africa and internationally. Could they set up other pages linked to that? And I think when last we did a check, we have members in about 190 countries, or 180 different countries. So we're pretty much a global platform.
Yeah, and what's also really interesting is that on a daily basis we must get anything from 5 to 10 requests to join the sites, to join Tourism in My Blood alone, never mind the sub sites as well. So it's growing all the time, which obviously means that people are seeing the benefit in it, and are obviously using it. And like Greg said, there's definitely been upliftment that we're unaware of, but just feedback from members on the site is that they've made a lot of contacts, they've gained a lot of knowledge, they've been able to make some really strategic decisions from a pricing point of view, or from a social media strategy point of view, and those are the kind of things that exactly what we were looking for, is that people would benefit from it in that respect.
Thank you so much, guys, for the great and amazing explanation behind the whole group and platform. I think my last question would be, how do you guys feel for the fact that you guys were nominated? Is there any certain way that you guys feel that someone actually noticed and said that I need to nominate Greg and Richard because they have really played a part in my life?
Yeah, look, from just touching on what Greg said earlier, it was never about us being in the limelight. It was more about everyone benefiting from it. But obviously, we obviously thrilled to be nominated. It means we've contributed in a big way, and I do know of other super lifters that have been nominated, and it's a great crowd of people to be associated with. So yes, certainly from my side, I think it's a feather in our cap. It was a fantastic idea of that Greg came up with, and as long as we've served the industry well, and which I really think we have, then yeah, I'm very happy about it, I must admit.
Yeah, I think from my side as well. I think it's always nice to be nominated. I think it's always a good feeling. But again, we never set it up for any nominations or awards. We didn't think it would even get 1,000 members, let alone 16,000 members. But I just think hopefully it creates a bit of a legacy. And I think we've come out of COVID as an industry a lot stronger and a lot closer. And it's one of the few industries in the world that we all work together. Tourism, we're not too worried about competition. We actually work well with our competitors, and hopefully support everyone closer. And hopefully, as we move out of COVID, and we can go to Indaba or WTM, and we can wear a cap or a T-shirt or a badge that says hashtag tourism in my blood, and we have an association to each other based on the fact that we are part of the same group and the same association. I think would be fantastic. But for now, the platform's there, and hopefully people continue to use it for what it's intended for.
Definitely. I know that I will be using it for sure in the future, and I'm sure many others will too. It's been a great asset to the tourism industry. That is the end of our meeting. Thank you, Greg and Richard, for participating, and thank you guys for being super lifters.